Hello, hi, I'm Zanzi, and welcome back to the Health for Mzansi podcast, episode 108, proudly brought to you by Health for Mzansi. I'm your host, Joe, and I'm excited to walk this health and wellness journey with you. Remember, nothing is off limits. In this week's episode, we discuss heart matters with Jordan Hardnick, a 21-year-old young man who is currently working and studying architecture under the supervision of a senior tech architect. Jordan has quite a story and is here to share his journey regarding his experiences and lessons after undergoing 3 open heart surgeries and 1 pacemaker change. Jordan, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, and you?
Good, thanks. Excited to get into this conversation because in September we're focusing on heart matters, and I think we have quite an important topic that we need to discuss, a topic that you can contribute to. But Jordan, before we get into the detail of it all, who is Jordan? How old are you? And just tell us more about yourself.
I'm 21 years old and matriculated at 18. And at the moment, I'm studying and I'm working at an architectural firm. I'm studying architecture.
Quite busy, quite a lot of things to do on your side.
Quite now, but yes, a lot of things, a lot of brain power.
So, Jordan, getting into your story, more importantly, your heart story, starts at birth when you were born. You were born with bicuspid aortic valve. And this just plainly means
inside my aortic valve, I was supposed to have 3 flaps. I don't know the technical term for it. So I was born with 2 flaps and 3.
How has that impacted you, and what other conditions has that led to?
The bicuspid aortic valve didn't really impact me much when I was younger, because that's when I originally still had my valve. Because of that and aortic stenosis, it's when the walls around my valve has thickened. Because of that, I caught a bacteria, and that led to open heart surgeries where they took out my valve and replaced it with a prosthetic.
And at what age was that?
I had my first operation at the age of 5, I believe. I had my second at 15 and third at 18.
You mentioned open heart surgeries, and I wanted to know, how many have you had?
I've had 3 open heart surgeries and 1 pacemaker change.
You also mentioned that there were, is it some complications with the prosthetic valve that they inserted into your heart?
Yes, during my second open heart surgery where they replaced my prosthetic valve because it was too small for my heart because I outgrew it. It calcified around the walls, and it led to the doctors needing to cut through conductive tissue where it literally just stopped the pacing of my heart. And because of that, they fixed a pacemaker with wires into my heart, which meant that I am pacemaker dependent 100%.
When you say pacemaker, does it help your heart to beat at the normal pace?
So my heart, it does not function at all. It does not contract and push blood throughout my body by itself. So now I've got a electronic device. It's now implanted in my stomach, but it was in my shoulder. That's connected to wires, that's connected to my heart, that shocks my heart so that it contracts and pushes blood out.
How does that feel explaining that? And of course, you've experienced it. It just seems quite intense and really complicated to process.
Yes, it's heartbreaking, pardon the pun. I don't want to say that it's a problem that I know how to explain it, because knowing things makes a person stronger. And also just the feeling of it, I don't really feel anything. It hasn't changed much of my life except contact sports and walking through metal detectors because it resets it somehow. Just having it, it's just the fear that from the point that something comes in contact with me until the point where they can fix it, this one thing that is making my heart pump might actually just turn off.
For example, growing up at school, was there any sort of feelings of isolation, or probably even in your adulthood? Do you feel any of those isolating feelings, as in I am so different to everybody else?
I did feel isolated in some areas, like playing rugby. I was never allowed to play rugby. I was never allowed to have any contact near my chest. Because of this problem, at a very young age, I told myself there's not much that I can amount to. But during high school and a little bit of primary school, I got to a point where I found differences in everyone else. So whether it was heart problems, mental problems, and just because when I was younger, I thought I was alone, and when I got older, I found problems in someone else, I knew that I wasn't alone. So whether it was mental or it was health problems, everyone is struggling with something. And mine just is heart problems, but yeah.
It's heart related. So true what you're saying. We're all different. You also mentioned that while replacing the prosthetic valve, did they cut off a piece of your heart? Can you please explain that story?
So I wouldn't say it was by accident. It was necessary. So they were cutting away calcification that was around my prosthetic valve. And I don't know the technical term for calcification, but while scraping it away, they had to dig a little bit deeper, and they scraped past a portion of my heart, which stopped my heart from beating.
It was a necessary procedure. You touched on sport and something that you couldn't really get into contact with, but were there any other sort of adaptations that you had to make in your life?
When I was younger in primary school and a little bit in high school, my valve used to tick. So it would literally sound like a clock, two metal pieces clapping together every single beat. It was awesome, but then also during like exams or times of seriousness, if I can say it that way, it did irritate other people. Just because of that, it kind of hurt me feeling wise, because I can't control it, yet it's my doing. The prosthetic valve was taken out during my third surgery, and they gave me a cadaver valve, which means it's from someone else that passed away.
Jordan, there's kind of a lot to process, like we spoke about earlier. What are some of the support systems that you rely on to deal with all of this?
The strongest support system is my mother and my family and my extended family as well, just because my mother and everyone in the household have really supported me emotionally. And my father, but recently my uncle, has supported me a lot financially because of medical aid. I am a medical aid's worst nightmare at the moment.
I can also imagine all these processes and kind of consultations you have to go for. It's quite financially intense.
The pacemaker that I used to have I don't know about this one, it was 100,000 Rand. That's something that, the medical aid had to just give out.
What happens to an individual that does not have access to medical aid?
I don't know the procedure of going to a public hospital or something like that, but I didn't have really good experiences with the public hospitals, so I'm very thankful to my family for keeping me on medical aid so I can go to private. The nice thing about my friends is they don't see my problems, which makes it harder to talk to them about it, but also awesome to forget about the whole problem that I have. I'm going to go a little bit biblical over here, but my Lord above, he's really blessed me throughout of all of this.
I can imagine that there's a couple of lessons that you have learned so far on this journey. And if you could share one of those lessons to anybody that's going to listen to this, what is your take out from the heart matter?
From the heart matter, and also some complications of understanding everything, there's this one quote that sticks in my mind every time I know something else bad is going to happen regarding the heart, which is the best sailors don't learn from calm oceans. Just because of my experience with all these open heart surgeries, taking care of your body is so important, especially just health-wise and exercise and putting sustenance inside your body, bad or good, whether it's vegetables, which is awesome, but also just stay away from drinking and smoking and stuff like that. It's very important to know that.
Thank you for joining this week's episode of the Health for Mzansi podcast. For more on our Heart Matters chat, check out healthformzansi.co.za. Now remember, if you are in a medical jam or just curious about some health and wellness trends, you can send an email to hello@healthformzansi.co.za or send a message to 076 132 0454. Yeah, we don't blue tick. So there you have it, girls and guys. I hope that this heartfelt story inspired you and served as a reminder to not take good heart health for granted. In closing, I would like to once again echo the quote that Jordan shared with us. The best sailors do not learn from calm seas. Till next time, keep well, stay healthy. Signing out, your girl Jo.